Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Steel City Sports Report, where we talk everything Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates. I am your host, Brady Vini, and today, ladies and gentlemen, the NFL tampering period, the legal tampering period, is officially open in the NFL before free agency officially begins on Wednesday. And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, the Pittsburgh Steelers lose their top option. I am talking about Justin Fields has signed with the New York Jets. It is a 2-year, $40 million contract with $30 million guaranteed. Just an absolute crusher right now. The Steelers, we are now 3 hours into the tampering period opening at noon today, and the Steelers have already lost 2 of their 4 top quarterback options. Sam Darnold, of course, earlier in the day, about an hour ago, signing with the Seattle Seahawks for, I believe, 3 years at $100 million. And now Fields going to the New York Jets for 2 years, $40 million. And honestly, I could not be more disgusted right now. I mean, it sucks. Fields was your closest thing that you could have had. The Steelers are trying to mimic as best they can, being the Philadelphia Eagles. You went out last night, you got DK Metcalf, hell of a deal. You trade for him for a second round pick, and then you give him 5 years, $150 million. So you got George Pickens now, you got DK Metcalf, you got the closest thing, or one of the closest, duos that you can get to AJ Brown and Devontae Smith in the NFL. And what you needed to do was you needed to bring back Justin Fields. He could have served the best thing closest to a Jalen Hurts. And now that idea has gone. And all that's left really on the table now, ladies and gentlemen, as much as it pains me to say it, is Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, both not the sexiest or most desirable options on the market right now, but that is all that's, left right now, barring something, amazing, whether that be a trade or a signing that nobody saw coming. Justin Fields gone to the Jets absolutely sucks. But, before I go deeper and deeper down the, Steelers quarterback hole here and Justin Fields leaving town, I do want to say that the Steelers did make an addition after all. They have signed corner Darius Slay from the Philadelphia Eagles. Slay was recently cut by the Eagles and now winds up in the black and gold, something that some of us were saying had a legit possibility of happening. Slay, who I believe is 33 or 34 years old. Let me pull up his Football Reference profile here. Yes, so Darius Slay, 34 years old, just turned 34 2 months ago. Last year with the Eagles, played in 14 games, had no interceptions, but did have 13 pass defenses. And of course, he got released by the Eagles. Not so much, I'm unfamiliar with what his contract situation was there, but he and James Bradbury, who were the 2 top corners on the Eagles the last time they went to the Super Bowl a few years ago, those 2 basically got pushed out by 2 phenomenal rookies in Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell. So Slay going to the Steelers now. And honestly, I'm quite fine with that. I see him as a Joe Hayden type, a veteran corner who's going to come in. He can serve as a number 1 if you need him to, and really hold down the fort until either Joey Porter Jr. becomes that legit shutdown corner 1 that we all think he has the potential of being, or wait until somebody else, maybe a Corey Trice or a draft pick one day, can fill that spot. So Fields gone to the Jets right now. 2 years, $40 million. I thought it was something that was completely doable for the Steelers. You know, you signed DK Metcalf, you're hoping that he would be able to pique Fields' interest, lure him back to Pittsburgh, but now he is gone to New York, another team in the Jets who, like the Steelers, have had trouble finding a quarterback. Of course, Aaron Rodgers, the big play for the Jets, did not work out. And now Fields goes with new head coach Aaron Glenn, former defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions, now their head coach there. And he gets to throw to his old college buddy in Garrett Wilson. And the more and more it looks like it's inevitable, the Steelers are going to go back with a past his prime older quarterback whose mobility has dwindled in recent years. It's either going to be Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers right now. I mean, if we're going to go down that path, I saw him put on, his social medias last night. Ben, are you serious about, coming out of retirement? You serious about wanting to throw passes to DK Metcalf and George Pickens? Because, I mean, it'd be very enticing over those two options. And I do want to say, I do not blame Fields whatsoever for how things went here. He was 4-2, was nothing short of a phenomenal teammate who did what he asked. He took the benching over Russell Wilson very maturely. He showed that he was in the right mindset. He didn't pout. And yeah, I don't blame him going to New York where he's going to get every opportunity to be a starting quarterback in this league. Somebody said, let's bring back Mason Rudolph. At this point, who the hell, really cares who's the Steelers quarterback? He'd be just as good as option of anybody else. NFL rumors 1 hour ago, Najee Harris is not expected to return to the Steelers. That is really, nothing that is all that surprising. Probably looking, the Steelers did retain Jaylen Warren this morning. They did sign him to the second round tender, paying him just under $5.5 million. So he will return to the Steelers next season. Real quickly, let's go over the other free agent signings that have gone down here so far today. Do a quick scroll down the list here. Lots of deals. Of course, the legal tender opened, I believe, at around noon, and nothing really waited for that tender, for that period to open. Stuff has been popping off all morning long. So let's start here. Grady Jarrett was released by the Atlanta Falcons. Could be, if he's looking for a bargain, a target for the Steelers. Hassan Reddick heading to Tampa Bay. Of course, he missed part of the season, contract dispute and hold out with the New York Jets. Buccaneers also resigning wide receiver Chris Godwin. He was up on the Steelers list, I think, before the DK Metcalf trade last night, coming off a ankle injury. Many were wondering if the Steelers could poach him for a pretty reasonable contract. He is staying in Tampa with Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans. The Kansas City Chiefs have signed tackle Jalen Moore. He'll be protecting Patrick Mahomes more from the San Francisco 49ers. Bears signing center Drew Dalman from the Atlanta Falcons, trying to increase their protection over Caleb Williams. Javon Kinlaw hitting to Washington. Jimmy Garoppolo back to the Rams. Former Pittsburgh Steeler Robert Spillane. Of course, he was a fan favorite here in Pittsburgh. He is moving a little back closer here to Pittsburgh, was with the Raiders. Now he is with the New England Patriots. Jordan Lewis of the Dallas Cowboys corner heading to Jacksonville. That's another thing. Darius Slay, you're happy that the Steelers got him because the corner market is going quick today. Giants, of course, getting Paulson Adebo from the New Orleans Saints. Carlton Davis, corner for the Buccaneers. He's going to New England. So a lot of corners getting signed early and often here today. Defensive tackle Milton Williams, one guy who is on the Steelers' radar. He goes from the Philadelphia Eagles, originally thought to go to the Carolina Panthers. And then I think Williams ended up flipping to the Patriots, if I'm correct. Let me see, was that here? Yes, Patriots got Milton Williams. Former Steeler, Dan Moore Jr., congratulations to him. Even though he was hit and miss, putting it lightly, for his tenure here in Pittsburgh. Congratulations to him. He is now a handsomely paid man. A 4-year, $82 million contract with the Tennessee Titans. He'll probably be their left tackle there. Of course, they got what was a rookie in J.C. Latham serving as their right tackle, I believe. So Dan Moore Jr. going down to Tennessee. Down there in Nashville, $82 million over 4 years, $50 million of that guaranteed. That just tells you right there how much inflated the market is here early in free agency. Another offensive tackle, Morgan Moses. This is a deal that I haven't seen yet today. 3-year, $24 million deal with the Patriots. The Patriots, of course, having a lot of cap space. Very much spending that money here today. DJ Reed, who was probably my top up there with, Charvarius Ward and Darius Slay. DJ Reed from the New York Jets corner. He goes to Detroit on a 3-year, $48 million deal. I think after the DK Metcalf signing, that pretty much knocked the Steelers out of the running for him. Vikings getting Eagles corner Isaiah Rodgers. Not a big loss there for the Birds. And I believe now, Sam Darnold, of course, as we mentioned, going to the Seahawks. I think if the Steelers knew that Fields wasn't going to return, I would have put all my eggs in the Sam Darnold basket. I think when you're talking about the Steelers quarterback options heading into the day, if you were to ask Steelers fans, I think you have Fields and then little bit of a gap, Sam Darnold, and then a mega gap, Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers. So now the Steelers are down to those bottom two options. I put Russell over Rodgers if I had to pick, because Rodgers may still have a little bit more left in the tank talent-wise, but how big of a headache is he going to be in that Steelers locker room? I know he is presumed to have a good relationship with Mike Tomlin. They always do the whole wink, point at each other. They're just, flirting with each other constantly. But I got to go with the guy who at least has, some sort of connection and relationship with DK Metcalf and George Pickens. Fields to the Jets, of course, just absolutely brutal shot to my heart today. Eric Murray, Texans safety, going to the Jags. Colts add the everlasting dance coordinator safety for the Vikings, Cam Bynum. Deo Odeingbo going to the Bears, Colts defensive end there. Looking more here, and that is pretty much it right now. Let's go over to Twitter, see what else we got going on here. Just a brutal, brutal start to the day. I mean, Justin Fields, he was right there. You had him, and we now know that this goes back. The Steelers, since Big Ben left, they have butchered in every definition of the word this quarterback uh situation. You had the best quarterback on the roster going back a couple of years here. You had Mason Rudolph, Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky. You brought in Trubisky, he struggled, and then immediately you knew that you couldn't throw Kenny Pickett into the fire. You knew he needed to have at least a year of waiting and marinating. You threw him into the fire, pretty much ruined any little bit of development he had in him. And then when it was too late last year, or I should say 2 years ago now, you waited too long to put in Mason Rudolph, and he then went down to the Titans, and he was the best looking thing to legit NFL quarterback that you had since Ben retired. He wanted to go for more money. He didn't want to stay around because you did him dirty. You bring in Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. Russ gets hurt in training camp because the Steelers' strength and conditioning staff are complete and total morons. Why are you having a quarterback pushing a weighted sled in the first day of spring of training camp? And Russ gets hurt. Fields takes the reins. Fields, had his ups and downs, but when you have a quarterback that goes 4-2 and is coming off a 32-point performance against the Las Vegas Raiders, you don't bench him. Yet Tomlin said, "Oh, we're trying to be great, not confused with good," and he puts in Wilson, works there for a couple weeks, then it, goes downhill. Steelers probably should have put back in Fields at that point. They did it, and now here's another consequence of bundling of messing with the quarterback situation, fumbling that around. Here's another consequence. Fields goes off to New York now for, what we will find out is greener pastures or not. Hearing a bunch of people saying, could it be time for Daniel Jones to become the Steelers quarterback? And honestly, that is just how have we fallen to this point where we're either talking about, we've reached a point where we're talking about who's going to be the Steelers quarterback. Is it going to be Russell Wilson, who crapped the bed and the Steelers lost their last 5 games of the season? Is it going to be Aaron Rodgers, who has almost completely fallen apart on the field? Doesn't look anything like the 4-time MVP that he's been for most of his career. And he's going to be one heck of a storyline each and every day off the field. Or is it going to be Daniel Jones, a guy who got paid big money by the New York Giants, got cut, went and backed up in Minnesota, and now could be the Steelers? This is genuinely a depressing time for Steelers fans, and that's hard for me to say with, Metcalf just getting traded here last night. And I said this on last night's stream. Not 13 of you in here right now. If you would please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I said this on last night's stream when Metcalf became a Steeler that, even if you sign Justin Fields or Russell Wilson, Sam Darnold, one of those guys, it's going to be tough for the Steelers to fall apart, which honestly wouldn't be the worst thing. You've gone 9-8 with, getting absolutely obliterated in the first round of playoffs over the last decade now. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if the Steelers were to bottom out and, take an Arch Manning, a Drew Aller, one of those guys who, has the possibility of being your franchise quarterback next year's draft when it's in your own city of Pittsburgh. And, the more and more I see this, if it's going to be one of those options for the Steelers. That, idea, that dream could be back on where the Steelers completely flame out. Tomlin has his first losing season, and it's Drew Aller or Arch Manning time next season. The season after next season, I should say. Scrolling more here, waiting for more news to come in here. Of course, it's everywhere. Darius Slay to the Steelers. Again, I like that pickup if you're just joining. I think he's going to at least be serviceable opposite Joey Porter Jr., see how much he has left in the tank at 34 years old. Is he going to be Joe Hayden for the Steelers, or is he going to be Patrick Peterson? Two veteran 30-plus corners that have been on the Steelers in recent years. Of course, Hayden had played very well here for the Steelers in really what was a difficult time on the Steelers defense, especially in the secondary. Hayden performed very well, I think, when you look in hindsight over his overall tenure with the Steelers. Of course, if you see me looking to my right, got NFL Network on, waiting for updates as they come. And or is Slay going to be Patrick Peterson, a guy who you could tell passing the eye test that was over the hill a bit? And of course, Peterson still trying to sign with a team, did not play at all last season, so just unbelievable. Excuse me. But anyways, I think what I'm considering doing now, of course, 9 of you in here right now, if you're new here, I have been doing daily videos of Pittsburgh sports news, news for the Penguins and Pirates as well as the Steelers. And I did have a video that I was working on before all this news came down today, regarding all the Pittsburgh teams. And I think, as a matter of fact, I'm just going to give you the gist of the video today instead of, posting it. I'm probably going to be here on a while, assuming that my internet connection stays up. So besides, I started off today's video talking about the DK Metcalf signing and talking about how awesome it is he's here. You trade a second-round pick for him. You sign him to this long, lucrative extension in Seattle in 2024. He had 66 receptions, just under 1,000 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Steelers were the most aggressive in trade talks for him. That was per senior NFL reporter for ESPN, Jeremy Fowler. And the trade came not too long. Metcalf requested a trade on Wednesday. Steelers were aggressive. The Seahawks lowered his price yesterday afternoon, and the Steelers got a deal done not too long after that. Metcalf is 6'4", 235 pounds, just an absolute physical specimen that's going to be on this Steelers team right now. And his trade and signing prompt 2 questions for me. One is, excuse me here. One is, what does George Pickens' future for the Pittsburgh Steelers now look like? The way I see it, 2 things are going to play out. Either GP will, or more accurately, he either will, has, or more accurately, has done enough damage to this Steelers organization, trouble on and off the field, lack of effort, arguing with fans, fighting with opposing players, being late to games. Is he soon going to be exiled to Siberia, where you trade him, you sell him off for whatever you can get? Hopefully it's a second-round pick. Or will he be a good teammate, see this addition of DK Metcalf and say, hey, I am mature now. I'm going to work hard to get this